You may have heard some horror stories regarding Spanish verbs, but not to worry, you are in good hands. Hola, amigos, bienvenidos aquí Spanish. Soy Alejandro, and in today's lesson, we're going to take the first step towards mastering verbs in Spanish. In this sixth lesson of our first unit of the course for beginners, we are covering subject pronouns and the present tense, just the regular forms. Remember, the goal at the end of this unit is to be able to create your own study plan and introduce yourself to another language student. Make sure to check out the full playlist of this course on YouTube if you haven't already, to see all the lessons organized, right? So it's easy to navigate and follow along. And we are going to tackle verbs first looking at a conversation between two people, an exchange of text messages. If you remember from the introduction of the course where we explained our methodology, we are working with an inductive approach to grammar. So we present you with a language model, a real communicative situation that we then go through together, we focus on what it means, and then use the language inside to infer certain rules and certain things. The first question we have to frame the reading we are going to do is ¿Qué quieren hacer John y Francisco? You already know John by now, or you should. Es un inglés, gerente de producto. And he is texting with Francisco, another person. ¿Qué quieren hacer means what do they want to do? So we're trying to understand this conversation and understand their goal. Let's read together. You can pause now and see the text and read by yourself. Read along with me, or first hear me read it and then you go after yourself. You go after. Whatever works for you. I recommend first reading along with me to get the sounds and then reading it by yourself again, pausing the video. Let's get started. Says Francisco, hola, busco a alguien para practicar inglés. Hola, yo soy de Inglaterra. Hablo inglés y estudio español. ¿Vives en España? ¿En Cáceres? Sí, vivo en Cáceres. Trabajo aquí como gerente de producto. Fantástico. Los dos vivimos en la misma ciudad. Okay, so you can read along with me at a normal pace, just focusing on the sounds, and then do now a second reading at your own pace, focusing on meaning. Let's see how much you can understand. And now I'm going to break down the conversation and translate it. So, busco a alguien para practicar inglés. So I'm looking for, buscar a alguien is looking for someone to practice English. And the answer is, hola, yo soy de Inglaterra. Hablo inglés y estudio español. Hey, I'm from England. Soy de Inglaterra. You already know that. So you can say soy de Inglaterra. Soy inglés. Hablo inglés y estudio español. I speak English and study Spanish. Do you live in Spain? Is asking Francisco. En Cáceres. In Cáceres. And John replies, yes, I live in Cáceres. I work here as a product manager. Remember, gerente de producto. And the answer is fantástico. Los dos vivimos en la misma ciudad. This might be more tricky. Los dos vivimos en la misma ciudad. Do you know what this means? We both live in the same city. Los dos, we both of us, the two of us, live in the same, la misma ciudad. Let's look at the second part of the conversation. Again, I'm going to first read it at a normal pace, read along with me, and then we break it down together. ¿Comprendes bien el español? Asked Francisco. Sí, comprendo y escribo bien, pero quiero hablar mejor. Todos mis amigos son extranjeros y siempre hablamos en inglés. Yo quiero mejorar mi inglés por mi pareja. Es inglesa y sus padres no hablan español. Okay, now feel free to pause and read at your own pace and focus on the meaning, how much you understand. Francisco asks, ¿comprendes bien el español? Do you understand well Spanish? Yes, says John, I understand and write well, but I want to speak better. All of my friends, todos mis amigos, son extranjeros. What do you think extranjeros means? He's talking about friends. And extraterrestrial, means outside of. So friends that are outside of, so they are foreigners. So all of my friends are foreigners, and we always speak in English. So he has no chance to practice Spanish, unfortunately. Francisco replies, yo quiero mejorar mi inglés por mi pareja. I want to improve, quiero mejorar, mejorar is to improve, because of my partner. Remember to give reasons in the lesson that we did previously in the unit, giving reasons in Spanish. We use por followed by a noun. So because of my partner, pareja. She's English and her parents do not speak Spanish. After reading the conversation, again, you can go back if you need to. Can you answer the initial question? ¿Qué quieren hacer John y Francisco? What do Francisco and John want to do? They want to do an exchange, a language exchange, un intercambio lingüístico. An exchange is a very useful way of getting to practice the language you are learning with someone that is learning your native tongue. So you can both help each other out. And some apps to do that are Tandem, HelloTalk, or Lingby. And talking about Lingby, that's one of the resources that you can find in our Spanish Beginner Kit. This is a set of resources for complete beginners to help you get started on the right foot. It's a perfect complement to these lessons that you are taking here with me on YouTube. You can find resources for learning vocabulary, so for getting some input, some grammar resources, and producing outputs or practicing. You can see that one of them is Lingby because it's an excellent language exchange app and it's free. And it's very, very useful. If you want to get access to this Spanish Beginner Kit to help you alongside these lessons, just find the link in the description. It's completely free. And now that we have explored this conversation, let's dive into the grammar, the form of the language that it's contained in this text. And the first step is to learn the subject pronouns. These are the words we use to refer to the people performing an action. So in English it's I, you, he, she, we, us, they. In Spanish, what is I? The first one, first image. What is the pronoun for I? Do you know? There's yo. Then we have tú in the informal form, or usted. And the third person is él or ella. Él for the masculine, ella for the feminine. We have nosotros, we, nosotros, vosotros and vosotras, or ustedes in the formal way, and ellos y ellas. Okay? Something important to know about subject pronouns in Spanish is that they are mostly omitted. You, most of the time, again, don't need to mention who is performing the action with the pronoun because you are already doing that with the verb, as we are going to see right now. It's a very common thing among English speakers to use yo hago, tú haces, right, when it's not necessary, unless it is for emphasis in very particular cases or to resolve some ambiguity in the third person. But for you right now, just think of them as mostly unnecessary most of the time. Now that you are familiar with the subject pronouns, let's dive into the main topic of this lesson, which are verbs in Spanish. These verbs, these words, end in one of three ways when they are in the infinitive form, in the root form. One is ar, the other is er, and the third one is ir. So the infinitive of a verb in Spanish can only have one of these three endings. Some examples of verbs ending in ar are hablar, comprender, and ir, vivir. And this ending is one of the two parts of a verb in Spanish. The other one is the stem, the main thing, the thing that will not change when conjugating the verb. With hablar, if the ending is ar, the stem would be habl, right? H-A-B-L. With comprender, the stem would be comprend, and the ending comprend, And with vivir, it would be viv, ir. This concept of stem and ending, it's important because it's part of the process of conjugating a verb in Spanish, which means giving it a form, giving it a person and time and place and meaning to it. If I say hablar, I'm just saying to speak. But if I say hablo, I'm saying I speak in the present. So I'm conveying information, who speaks and when I give the verb form, when I conjugate it. The process starts with taking the root verb, hablar, removing the ending, and then adding to the stem the appropriate ending to each person. So for the present tense of hablar, the yo ending would be o. Tú, has, él, ella, ha. Nosotros hamos, vosotros habéis, ellos han. Let's practice this. If I say comprender in this grammatical form, which is we, if you remember, is nosotros, what's the process? We first remove the ending and then add the appropriate ending for the person we, nosotros. So therefore, how would be we understand? How do you say we understand in Spanish? Well, es nosotros comprendemos. So nosotros comprendemos el español. I hope this gives you some clarity about the process of conjugating verbs in Spanish, but don't try to memorize or focus too much on this. You are not going to master the grammar by memorizing these kinds of rules. Native speakers don't process language this way, but being explicitly aware as an adult, as someone that has the cognitive development to understand these things, can help you fast track things a bit and starts being very conscious, but then becomes more automatic, as well as giving you more insights when you hear the language and you read it. You can understand how this process works. So it's good to understand, but don't obsess over it. Now that you know the subject pronouns and what the endings of a verb are and how to conjugate the verb, let's take a look at the present tense in its regular forms. We start with the verb hablar, which is an AR ending verb. And you have here the forms tú, él, vosotros. Tú hablas, él habla, vosotros habláis. Can you tell me the three forms that are missing? As a hint, they appear in the conversation we just read between Francisco and John. So they are there if you look for them, but maybe you know already without looking. Pause the video if you need to and try to answer the question. The forms we are missing are yo hablo, nosotros hablamos, y ellos hablan. Let's do the same with the verb comprender. Would be yo comprendo, tú comprendes. Él comprende, comprendemos, comprendéis, comprenden. Pause the video if you need to, go back. Remember, that's a good thing about videos. You have control over it, so go at your own pace. And then vivir. Lastly, what are the missing forms of vivir? You have them also in the conversation. It's vivo, vives, él vive, nosotros vivimos, vosotros vivís, ellas, ustedes viven. So now you have completed by yourself this table. Let's take a look at it in more detail. You have here the three conjugations. The underlined part is the stressed syllable. So it's not habló or hablas or habla. It's hablo, hablas, habla. Hablamos, habláis, hablan. Okay? And you can see the endings here. There are a couple of things to notice. The first one is that the first person in the present tense, regular forms, always ends in o, like yo. Hablo, comprendo, and vivo. And the second thing to notice is that the verbs ending in er and ir, you see that there are very similar endings. They just change in the nosotros and vosotros form. And they change according to the vowel of the ending itself. So comprender uses in the ending, so that's the vowel that they use in nosotros and vosotros. Vivir uses I, so vivimos and vivís. That's it about the grammar and practice and forms and tables. Okay, don't worry, you can relax now. No, sorry. You cannot relax because we are going to finish this lesson with an activity. You are going to hear an audio where I say a sentence that contains this verb, which is the verb comprender, but it's conjugated. It has a form in the sentence. So let's see if you can understand. You don't need to understand the full sentence. You need to listen carefully enough to get what form am I conjugating the verb in. Okay? Let's try it.
Mi hermano y yo comprendemos el italiano.
Okay, you can listen again if you need to. You can rewind. But what form did I use of the verb? I used comprendemos. Mi hermano y yo comprendemos el italiano. Extra points if you can tell me what subject pronoun is used for this conjugation of the verb. So what person are we conjugating the verb in? Well, is nosotros. Comprendemos es nosotros. Let's do that with one more verb. See you can understand what form we are missing.
Tus padres trabajan en el hospital, ¿verdad?
Okay, so did you catch that? Tus padres trabajan en el hospital, ¿verdad? What subject pronoun do we need here? Or is it referring the ending to? It's ellos, they. They work, right? Your parents work in the hospital, right? Ellos. One more.
Oye, ¿vives en Barcelona o en Madrid?
Remember the superpower you have watching the video of rewinding if you need to. So this one, I said, oye, ¿vives en Barcelona o en Madrid? Listen, do you live in Barcelona or in Madrid? So what's the subject pronoun here? It's tú. Tú vives. Yo vivo, tú vives, él vive. Ella vive. And let's do one more.
Tu hermana y tú estudiáis juntas, ¿no?
This one is more difficult. Es tu hermana y tú estudiáis juntas, ¿no? What's the pronoun? Es vosotras. You all, vosotras. The feminine form will be the masculine vosotros. So your sister and you and your sister study together, right? No? Correct? Juntas means together. And let's do the last one.
No lo sabía. ¿Tu primo habla francés?
Okay, did you catch that? I'm sure you did. I'm confident you did. Would be no lo sabía. ¿Tu primo habla francés? What's the grammatical person here? The pronoun, subject pronoun is él, tu primo. If it was tu prima, cousin, female cousin, would be ella. I didn't know. Your cousin speaks French? I hope you found this exercise useful and that it helped you put a bit into practice what you are learning. But with all things grammar, remember, it's not only about focusing on form and just doing exercises. Just read, listen to the language, expose yourself, try to use it meaningfully, writing something, trying to speak with someone. That's the cornerstone of your process. And then this explicit awareness of the rules can be helpful, right, to accelerate things a bit. But the main thing is to use the language. That's what it's for. It's not to study just rules. And we finish the lesson with something I need to ask you. Can you now participate with me in the comments and form some sentences using the present tense? You have to the right 5 verbs that are llamarse, to be called, hablar, to speak, trabajar, to work, vivir, to live, and estudiar, to study. Can you form meaningful sentences for you? So things that mean something, like my name is, and your actual name, your mom lives somewhere, my boss speaks some language. Conjugating in the present tense, write at least 3, ideally 5, and with different people, not just I and you. I want you to practice the different forms of the verb, okay? Remember to not be lazy. Laziness is not tolerated in Key Spanish, in this channel and in this course. You need to put what you are learning into practice. I hope you enjoyed the lesson on the present tense in this course for beginners. And if you did, please make sure to subscribe so you don't miss out our next lesson in the course. We are publishing a new one every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. So subscribe and click the notification bell so you don't miss out. Thank you so much for your attention. Soy Alejandro de Key Spanish y nos vemos en clase.